RIMWORLD with the first colony. GSA, Part 1. This is what the planet where the protagonists will settle looks like. This is the area where the escape pods landed, near Nelor Sea, in a mountainous area. And these are the colonists. The first, George Musra, who is intellectual, social, good at medicine being a paramedic. He is also good at cooking and construction. Then Stefan Poskva, being a military engineer, is very good at shooting, construction and crafting. In health, right shoulder has a stab scar, aching, and right little toe, bite scar. And Alessio Gorzo, who is a ranger, so he's good at shooting, melee. Besides that, he's good at construction, plants, and he's a bit of an artist and apparently owns Molotov cocktails and chem fuel. By the way, you can pause if you want to analyze exactly what characteristics each one has. And now the characters that were left behind follow. Octave Gloro, who is George Mustra's brother, is very intelligent, social, good at crafting, animals. Then Jacob Dominski, who is 16 years old, good at construction, mining, cooking, animals and owns a short bow. Then Arthur Moon, who is good at mining, construction, animals and melee. His grandson is Alessio Gorzo and possesses human meat. Well, that's not good. Aurora Moon, artist, good at plants, construction and mining, mostly. And lastly, Sophia Queen, who is very intelligent, good at medicine, crafting, animals and plants. But I've talked about all these characters left behind, but none of them appear in the colony. At least at the beginning. New characters will appear who will have a major impact on the story. The three of them awake in the crypto-sleep sarcophagi in the sound of sirens and ripping parts. They barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later, they land on this unknown RIMWORLD. As pieces of the shredded starship fall around them, they start making plans to survive. Oh, and in another thread, Alessio took his dog on his pod. His name is Jasper, cute and useful. Everyone picks up weapons according to their skills. George takes a plate armor on his chest for minimal protection. After analyzing their surroundings, they began cutting down trees and making a small house to sleep under a roof. And a storage area for materials. Towards morning, as Stefan was trying to build the rest of the house, a local squirrel has gone mad and approached him to attack. He tried to take out his gun and shoot at the squirrel, but he didn't have time. The squirrel had already jumped on him and started biting him. Alessio, from the storage room, hearing a noise outside, came out and, seeing the situation, took out his gun and started shooting at the squirrel. When he managed to shoot at it, Stefan was injured quite badly and had to recover for a while. Meanwhile, a group of visitors passed through the area, but the protagonists were not interested. After a while, another group of traders, the Surveyor League, approached. They started to shamelessly enter the house, walking around with all the animals as if it were a zoo. On September 10th, while the protagonists were working on the house and farm, a pod crashed nearby. A character with a red name came out, and the protagonists weren't interested in him, so they pretended nothing happened. The next day, while Alessio was still working at the farm, another pod collapsed nearby, this time with duck meat. So the colony's property. After collecting all the meat, they began building a generator for electricity, an essential thing. Meanwhile, Stefan decided to name the colony, so together they call themselves GSA-1, for no reason. Then they built a cooler so that the room with the food would be below 0 degrees Celsius. The next day, they expanded the living room to include space for eating, relaxing, and built a table for research. Then they created a room with a table where they would butcher the animals, the meat, and another table for cooking. On the night of September 13th, they decided to expand the food room, so they made another room to put 2 coolers. On December 2nd, but don't forget that it's summer on RIMWORLD. The rice had grown, so Alessio started collecting, and then preserve it for the winter. Stefan, on the other hand, built a wind turbine for more electricity, as there was a greater demand for the 4 coolers. Yes, because they decided to put 2 in each room with food. They ended up with 2 wood-based generators and a wind turbine, and all of George's work paid off. Now they know how to build batteries to store electricity, so they created a room for generators and batteries. And randomly on the night of December 6th, the protagonists got infected with plague and food poison. Nice. Eventually they got over the infection, but not long after, a raid began. A group, or rather a pirate named Raymond, decided to attack, naked with a cowboy hat and a bat. Cool. Thus, Alessio and Stefan prepared their weapons and positioned themselves behind the barracks. They started shooting at him, but apparently they didn't shoot very well because Mr. Naked approached Stefan and started hitting him with the bat. Very good, guys. Very good shooting. Mr. Naked hit Stefan so hard that he dropped him on the ground and went to take Alessio too. George had to step in to save the situation. Stefan was trying to crawl out of that. Mr. Naked also knocked down Alessio, so George managed to take down Mr. Naked. He rescued Stefan, then rescued Alessio too. While Stefan was tossing and turning in bed in pain, George bandaged them and went to bed too. A situation that could have ended very badly. But as our protagonist slept and recovered, in the meantime, Mr. Naked got up and wanted to run away. So George got out of bed and went after him, giving a few strokes of glory for the colony, and let him bleed to death. After recovery, they found a mine with compressed parts, a rare resource, at least at the beginning, so Stefan went and mined the materials. In the morning of December 10th, they decided to dig a grave so that the body of Mr. Naked wouldn't remain in front of the house. Shortly after, another raid began, not the best time. Phoebe decides to attack the colony with a steel knife. The protagonists took up position behind the barracks, and as Phoebe approached, this time George didn't let Alessio to shoot, knowing how well he shoots, so he took the revolver. Unfortunately, Phoebe managed to stab Stefan with the knife, but George managed to save the situation, again, while Alessio stood motionless in the middle. Stefan lay down while George bandaged him, while Alessio picked the potatoes. After a few days of collecting potatoes and rice, the colony managed to gather the first part of rations to last through the winter. At night, while the colonists slept, a flash storm began, which unfortunately will affect a large part of the fauna in the south of the map. And also Jensen's skeleton was there, the guy who crashed with the pod. In the morning, Stefan wanted to hunt some deer to collect meat and leather to make warmer clothes for the winter. And another raid. Wow, just give them some break. Raccoon attacks, nice. The colonists took up a defensive position and began firing. This time they managed to shoot her before they were stabbed. On April 1st, a heat wave came, so the settlers also built a cooler in the living room and one in the bedroom. Remember that there are 15 days in a month on RIMWORLD, and April comes after December, and in April it is fall. Out of nowhere, Alessio, because he's a pyromaniac, starts shooting randomly with his gun and burning the surrounding plants. Nice. Since George was in the area, he had to make sure Alessio didn't burn the colony. And also Stefan had to come to help. Apparently, since Alessio started burning plants, George insulted Alessio by calling him a pelican. Later, Alessio insulted Stefan by his uncle's origins. Oh. After Alessio's condition passed, he was infected with gutworms, so he felt very bad. After Stefan went hunting, he collected enough leather for robes, and so he set about making some. As night fell, a person who lives near the wild animals entered the protagonist's area, but they did nothing. Meanwhile, George managed to finish the research. And so Stefan and Alessio wanted to create a special room for smithing. And later they expanded the pantry due to the high productivity of wheat and potatoes. Stefan will make 2 helmets, and George will focus on researching plate armor. Not soon after, Stefan made a gladius, a perfect sword for his team support position, even though he was the one who saved the day more than once. While the protagonists were sleeping, a mad rat wanted to attack. Luckily, George can use his gladius on it, and just from a swing turned it into ham. On the afternoon of April 9th, a visitor passed by. And after what happened with Alessio and with the fire, Stefan and George decided to sell him the Molotov cocktail. And the next day, our protagonists collected a lot of wood for a big project they want to do. But we will see that next time. So, in meantime, good luck out there.